Dear friends, today we have the privilege of inviting Vishnupriya. I know her from a long time when I was first trained in a leadership program by her. And Vishnupriya runs her own company called Awsmosis. I think she has more than 2 decades of experience in managing corporate trainings, programs, leadership programs. And thank you so much, Vishnupriya, for coming to BossSeBachao channel.
Thank you for inviting me.
What we want to do is, we want to understand some specific pointers from your perspective. So the goal of our channel is how to have freedom, peace and happiness in spite of working in complex corporate life and then facing all the struggles because of bad bosses. So in your own experience of corporate training, conducting these programs and looking at the current situation, how people are facing a lot of these issues, where do you think the organizations are heading to manage these kind of issues to help the employees and have a better relationship between employee and bosses?
Wow, that's a big question. Okay. So I think the rider here, Sunil, is anything I say cannot be generalized, right? Because there will always be outliers and organizations that are doing things differently.
Right.
But at a larger zoom out lens, if you ask me, where are organizations headed to ensure that the relationship between leaders and employees is improved? I think there is a lot of strategizing, understanding that there is definitely a challenge. I think what's missing is the momentum and the traction to see it through, right? So there definitely is the need that organizations feel to bridge that gap between hierarchies, to ensure that the generations are talking to each other, to ensure that the Instagram friendly employee or the AI friendly employee is able to have that conversation with somebody who may be a baby boomer or from a whole different generation and a whole different work culture. But I think what really needs more work is the overall culture and the makeup of an organization if we really want to reduce this deficiency or reduce this gap between how healthy that relationship really can be.
But do you think that organization really acknowledges and accept this as a problem?
Not all. Like I said, different organizations see it differently. I have worked with companies who do acknowledge that there is a challenge. I have had organizations who reached out to me and said, we know that our seniors have an issue with the juniors.
Okay.
And we know that the juniors have an issue with the seniors. I'll tell you what is the biggest gap that I see here, Sunil. I feel that the HR or the sponsors of, the individuals who can see the problem, like I said, don't have the momentum to solve that problem.
Okay.
So oftentimes they come to us as consultants, not because we have the solutions. That could be one of the reasons. But one of the reasons they come to us is because they don't want to say it. They want us to come in and say it.
Okay. So a third party perspective.
Yeah, which
helps.
I think in itself is also a sign of that there is definitely a psychological safety issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
If the HR themselves aren't able to go up to the management and say, you need to do things differently, there's definitely a safety concern.
So they're trying to identify the problem, but their way of solving it is not direct.
Most
so they're
times.
indirectly trying to solve this.
Most times. And I'll tell you where this leads into. Like, I'm looking at it from a much wider canvas, I think. The issue is that a lot of organizations who are doing financially well, who are business prosperous, they look at success through the lens of capital.
Okay.
Right? So if my organization has 8,000 employees, I have a multinational company, and my profits are growing,
Yeah.
I'm successful.
So we don't care then what exactly is happening with the employee?
I wouldn't say that we don't care, but yeah, they do have a mentality of employees will come, employees will go. तो एक निकलेगा तो हम किसी और को हायर कर लेंगे.
So there are always replacements available. Okay.
Yeah. So I think the what takes precedence over the how that money is coming.
Okay.
You know, the capital, the revenue generation takes precedence over the culture, the psychological makeup, the ecosystem, the
But in
trust.
your experience, in the long run, it will definitely hurt the organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because culture plays a very important role.
Absolutely. And I have worked with such organizations who have come to me when it's too late.
Yeah.
You know, when it's too late and they say that we're losing stakeholders, we're losing market share, our diversity indexes are falling, we're
There's a
not,
high attrition going on.
the word of mouth from a new higher perspective is diminished. So, ab kya kare?
By that time, it's already quite late.
Yeah.
Okay. So Vishnupriya, there's another trend which is going on in the industry is all about artificial intelligence. So do you think that AI can play some role in solving some of these office politics? Maybe introduce a AI boss.
Wow, interesting. Okay. Look, there is merit in AI from a rationality, practical, problem solving perspective, right? So if you really want like a cutthroat, very, very genuine response to something, you can definitely depend on the technology. But then again, you know, when we're talking about an employee and a supervisor relationship, there are many nuances of behaviors, values, ethics, fairness, trust, which is a very humanizing factor in itself, right?
Okay.
How is technology going to gauge whether an employee has a sense of fairness, whether an employee can be trusted, whether the employee is demonstrating the values of an organization? And I think, again, coming back to what we were discussing a while ago, if a supervisor is so focused only on input versus output, you know, you type a prompt, you get a reply, you type a prompt, you get a reply, it might work. But if you're talking about politics, there is a lot of other issues that go into politics, right? There's relationships, there's conversations, there's bypassing supervisors, there's fairness, there's transparency. So my answer would be no, it's not going to work.
Okay.
As long as you have human beings in organizations, you are going to require a certain amount of emotional intelligence. You are going to require a certain amount of human touch, rapport building. I don't know why people look at emotions as something non-productive.
Okay.
You know, I think every emotion has a productivity. It's just that supervisors, bosses, seniors, and even sometimes the juniors, the team members, they don't know how to channelize that emotion.
But will it not be effective if you actually remove that emotions part? Because if you have a boss who is more practical in terms of managing the employee and not creating a bias because of the human emotions part of it, it will be better for the employee. Because then every employee will be treated the same way.
Look, there is a negative portfolio of emotions. There's also a positive portfolio of emotions. So let me come back to that. Okay, for example, motivation is an emotion,
Right.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, if to answer your question, if you remove motivation, then how do you work around it? Yeah, if you remove empathy, do you really want to work with somebody who's empathy-less? You know, if you call somebody at 9 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, God forbid somebody in my family is met with an accident and Sunil, I can't get to work today. Do you want the AI to say you have to come because there is a deliverable? It's not going to work.
So you mean to say the human aspect still remains of primary importance between a boss-employee relationship?
Look, even in decision making, right? When you look at AI, there's decision making from a practicality perspective and you know, from a ratio of pros and cons, but there's also decision making which is very intuitive, which humans are capable of.
Okay. Fair point. Yeah.
I hope I've convinced you there.
No, so that's just a question. So I don't have any bias because I'm seeing a lot of this. The entire industry is going towards using AI for everything, right? So making your work to be done in less time, plus the decision making has to be faster and without any emotions. But I get your point when you say that in a relationship between a boss and employee, without emotions, I think it will become very impractical.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about purpose without passion then.
Okay.
Right, and when you're talking about achieving results, when you're talking about efficiency, effectiveness, growth, you need a combination of skills and competencies,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
You need a combination of rational and intuitive.
Okay. Fair point.